Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another segment of In the Spotlight with Kenton Rogers, and we have got a great show for you all this evening. We have a very special guest with us on tonight who has agreed to come on and be in the spotlight, and he has so much to share. He has done so much, and we're going to unpack all of the things that he's done. I've seen his resume, and there's so much in there. There's a lot to unpack tonight. So we're gonna start and not really hold you all up. I do want to ask you all that are tuned in and that are going to tune in to please like and share. We need you to do that. And whatever platform you're watching tonight, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Instagram, whether it be LinkedIn, whether it be Facebook. Facebook have made some changes. I have a Facebook page called Kenton Rogers Live, but you have to have 100 some people before they let you stream on there. So I gotta get that up. I have my personal page that I stream on, but I need to get up the followers on the Kenton Rogers Live page. So would you all please help us do that? But let's get to our special guest, because in the spotlight is not in the spotlight, but our special guest is, and his name is Joseph Long, who we have on the screen. Joseph L. He has a program or podcast that he does called Inspirational Moments with Joseph Long. Welcome, Joseph.
Thank you. Good evening to you. And as I told you earlier, before we even started, I am so honored to be part of this. Thank you for this opportunity.
Well, I am honored for the opportunity, to be honored to be interviewing you on tonight. I believe we're going to have a great time. Let's first of all start off. Where are you a native of?
Okay. Well, I am a native Miami.
Okay.
Miami native.
All right. And that's Miami, Florida.
Yes.
It must have been wonderful growing up in Florida.
Yeah, people talk about it, but it's home. I love it. So
okay. We have a cruise coming up that I'll talk to you about later. Might be able to get you on it, but we'll talk about we're gonna be leaving out of Miami next year, 2025. But
okay. So give me time to get my passport in order.
Yes, sir. I got to do the same thing too. But what you need to know is that we're going to the Bahamas for 4 days, and going to the Bahamas, you just need your birth certificate and a driver's license or an ID.
Okay, now birth certificate. See, I'm going to jump a little bit on what I'm probably going to talk about in tonight. But in the process of moving, I end up throwing away a lot of stuff, including my birth certificate. So I need to get a lot of my legal documents, duplicates. Yeah.
So a native of Miami, but you've recently relocated from Miami to where?
Fort Lauderdale.
So still in Florida.
Still in Florida, just a 30-minute hop.
Okay.
But believe it or not, Miami and Fort Lauderdale, they are different animals. Yeah.
Okay. So now I want to move and unpack this piece, because I see that something about international university. Tell us about that. How does that come into your life, and what role does it play in your life?
You say international university?
Yes. Florida International University. That you went to Florida.
Oh, my school. Yes. Florida International University. So I went to college immediately after high school, after senior high school. And I took some studies in elementary education with secondary in TESOL. And every time I say that, people be like, what's that? So that's basically
you. So can I please have my opportunity to say, what's that? Because I sure was thinking it.
I know. But I get it so often, so I know just to jump right into it. So TESOL, TSOL, is basically you teaching non-English speaking students in a nutshell. And
Okay.
I substitute taught for 2 years, and I had the privilege of substituting for a TESOL class. My students were predominantly Haitian that knew little to no English.
Okay.
So yeah, that brought me to Florida International University. I had to remember that's what FIU stands for.
Okay.
But yeah, but I ended up not getting the elementary education degree. My mom could have killed me. I
Okay.
literally had only one semester of classes, and anyone who takes any studies in teaching especially elementary, they know there's like, they don't call it internship, but it's really a semester where you actually sit in the class and you teach.
Okay.
You build your own curriculum syllabus and you teach an actual class. So literally I had 1 year left to get my elementary education degree, and I dropped out of FIU school.
Okay. So now let me ask you this. Tell me what it's like for you to be teaching Haitian students. Do you teach them in English or did you have to learn how to speak their language?
No, the whole point is you're actually getting them accustomed to English. So
Okay.
you teaching them English, but you use different techniques. So it's through the reading. It's actually a lot of drawing, writing, getting them to associate with little things. So it's kind of like kindergarten, without
Okay.
a lack of better words, kind of kindergarten them into the language.
Okay. Wow. So what inspired you to even want to go into the educational piece period? What brought you to that?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I knew for as long as I can remember, my gifts. Well, I have many gifts and talents, but one of them is teaching. So as long as I was able to teach someone younger, I always done that.
Okay.
So I knew I've always had a passion in educating.
Okay. Wow. That's awesome. Education is really such an awesome place to be, and people don't necessarily understand that, but we really need that educational piece, especially starting with our younger ones. You know what I'm saying? So it's unique that you actually dealt with younger people.
Yes.
Okay. So
So,
now,
like I said, even I'm saying like at 10 years old, I would probably, I've always been accustomed to being with even younger kids and teaching, educating them.
got you. So now let me ask you this. In 1997, um, after doing the teaching, something happened 1997 and you begin doing performances at Universal Truth Center for Better Living.
Yes,
Tell us about that. Tell
yes.
us about the role that you played. Tell to us about what inspired you going from education and then actually moving into and incorporating in your life as well. Not necessarily moving from education because you're still an educator even today, but making that
Right.
transition to also include in your life performances and the performing arts. Talk to us.
So, so as you stated, at the time I was going to Universal Truth Center, a metaphysical Christian church. And at this time in 97, they started um, what they call it. They wanted to incorporate theater into not necessarily, I don't want to say into the services, but they wanted to add that into the many things that they do. So the first show they did was The Wiz. And I auditioned. We all had to audition. But I kind of knew I had the role because I didn't necessarily look the part, but I had the voice for the part. So long story short, I ended up getting the part of the Cowardly Lion. And it was very challenging because everyone, at least that I interacted with, they claimed that was their favorite character. So it was a lot of pressure in carrying that character through. And I almost dropped out of it, almost quit because these Christians wasn't always nice with me as far as doing the rehearsal process. But I was determined. I was going to do what I needed to do to make it work. So needless to say, I carried the role, and I fell in love with the attention, the pampering. As the show started, doing the performances, as we were doing the shows, they would have food for us on the side. You have your separate costume person catering to your needs. I had my makeup person. So I fell in love with that. So I'm like, okay, I could do this. So from that moment forward, doing The Wiz at my church, I got the acting bug. And from that point on, I just sought out different acting roles locally.
Okay. So let me ask you this question. In playing The Wiz, you said you knew you had the voice,
Right.
So how did you prepare for the actual role? What did you have to do to prepare to actually play that role? And then how did you feel about your performance after doing so?
Well, I would start with the assistant choir director. She gave me a suggestion, her advice. I didn't understand it right away, but after I made the decision, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to take on this part. She told me, Joseph, get out of yourself. Wow. And at first I thought it was, okay, that sounds a little mean, a little harsh. It's kind of like, we didn't call it reading at that time, but I was like, that's kind of sounded like a read. But as I went internal and started working on me, I understood exactly what she meant. I understood after working with me that what was the problem. I was in my way. I was worrying about what I looked like on the stage. And those of you that know the Cowardly Lion, you really have to get to this point where you're doing all this blubbering and the cowardly part. I'm like, that's not me. I can't be on no stage and carrying on like a clown and a fool. But I'm like, if I'm going to carry it out, this is what she meant. This is what Christine meant about I have to get me out the way. I'm playing a role. So I started watching The Wiz over and over and over, the TV version. And I'm like, and trying to get ideas, trying to be like, okay, this is what I need to be like. And so I learned I had to be over the top. I definitely had to put Joseph out the way. And I have to say, the audience members, my fellow church members, they let me know I did a great job. So based on their feedback, I knew I did a good job. And I felt good about it. I felt it was literally overnight, a transformation within me. That following rehearsal, gave it to them. And I was
Okay.
like, okay, the director, she could tell me whether or not I need to tone it down. But I came in there and I gave them Cowardly Lion.
All right. Wow. So after this, you received the acting bug, you know, and
Yes.
you didn't just receive the acting bug, you really started really going further into this, even to the point of taking courses. So tell us about those courses that you took and where did you actually take those courses at?
Okay, so after the Wiz, that's when I decided, okay, I need to because I didn't know anything about acting. So I'd be like, you okay, I need to go and take some schooling in this. And I don't remember how I decided in the particular school I had chosen at that time, but I decided to go to Miami-Dade Community College to
Okay.
take some of their acting classes. So it was like almost a whole afternoon. I went there enrolling, looking, seeing what I need to do um, to set up my whole semester of pure acting courses. So I did that after a whole afternoon and the following day and all that, enrolling in Miami-Dade Community College and all of that. Remember, I went to FIU,
Okay.
so I had to see how to get some courses transferred, or at least courses that they would be able to use that I could get credit for to get me into their program. So to make a long story short, I go to Miami-Dade Community College for my first day of class to find out that they canceled all the classes. See,
Wow.
I went for evening classes because I worked during the day. So I can't remember what the reason was. I think it had to do with they didn't have enough of people that enrolled for the evening classes. Um, but the weird thing about it is that that same day, that same night when we was told that all the classes were canceled, um, I can't remember if I came across one of the professors or a, a group of us that went for the class and find out together that it was canceled. We noticed a notice for an audition for a show that they were having the following month or two. So we went that same day. Instead of going home, we went and auditioned for this show at Miami-Dade Community College. And needless to say, I got a part. It was a very small part. I came in at the very last scene. I made an appearance for 5 minutes. I played a Jamaican police officer. So I had to speak with some of my Jamaican friends to help me like put that little patois in
Okay.
there. And back to the lion thing. I learned from my experience being in the Wiz, it doesn't matter how big or small the role is, whatever role you get, work it.
Okay.
And I did what I could to work that little Jamaican police officer role to the max. And so I end up getting another part in another show immediately after that show closed. And I didn't expect to be doing shows in Miami-Dade Community College, but I end up doing the next 2 or 3 shows there ever since.
Okay.
And then someone was looking for an actor in another show. It was an all black theater company, and I can't remember if their initial actor, for whatever reason, dropped out or they never found the actor role. So a friend of mine referred me, and they played. It wasn't The Wiz, but I also did Pearly Victorious, and I
Okay.
played the part of Get Low. Shirley Hensley did that part on Broadway. And
Okay.
that was another fun role that I really worked at one too. So they played it was VHS tapes at that time of me performing that role, and I got that part just by the director seeing me in another show, and that was Once on This Island. I played the part of Ogwe, the god of water. So I played a Haitian god there.
Wow. And it's so important how a lot of times we don't talk about it, but you have to get into things, get involved. But once you do that, no matter what the role is, like you were saying, whether it's grand or small, it gave you the opportunity to network with people who then connected you to
Yes.
getting connected in other performances.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and people see the drive and the commitment. Like the second show I did at Miami Garden. I mean, I'm going to say Miami Gardens, Miami-Dade Community College. I went to every rehearsal. I only was required to go to very few, but I went to every rehearsal because I wanted to just soak in everything. I was a newbie to it, so I wanted to soak in anything. So it came to the point where the director added parts for me to do because of that drive. But like you say, the more you do, you network, people get to know you, and for a while, I can't tell you when was the last time I've done an audition. Now I get parts just because people know me or seen my work.
Wow, awesome, awesome. But and on top of that, you so bit and received. I wasn't bit by the bug and received the bug so much until you did not even just stay with the acting part. You began to do other things within the performing arts as well. So talk to us
Yes.
about that.
Okay, so you're referring to stage managing,
Of
and
course.
that is yes, that's unique. So I'm still doing shows after shows. I must say I was blessed. Every year I probably did 3 or 4 shows per year. And I'm talking about paying gigs. At
Okay.
first I was doing the volunteering thing, but then it got to a point when I'm like, you know what? Okay. Um, I'm worth a little bit, even gas money. Give me something. So I started joining theater companies that paid. Again, not much, but still they paid you something.
Okay.
So I saw a notice, and it's funny. I don't remember where the notices are because we're talking about 20 plus years ago. I remember seeing a notice about Little Shop of Horrors, another show play that I love. The Wiz is one of my favorite. The Cowardly Lion is one of my dream roles. I did that. And I always fell in love with Little Shop of Horrors, the TV version. Folks don't know, a lot of people don't know the TV version and the play version are slightly different. So I'm
Okay.
talking about the TV version I fell in love with Tisha Campbell on there at the Street Urchins and everything. So I fell in love with the plant, the
Okay.
voice of the plant. So I auditioned for the role of the voice of the plant, and that was a beautiful experience. I knew the songs. I actually did the show before, prior to this company. I promise I'm getting to the stage manager part. So I go in there. I already knew the songs. So I went there just being the ham. And they're not supposed to tell you, but the director told me right then and there, he got the voice. That's our plant right
Right.
there. So this theater company, predominantly Jewish owned, when they like you, they pretty much try to keep you in. They'll find a role for you for different shows they go in. But here I am, a black man, and most of the shows they doing are predominantly white. And they would fit me in roles that really didn't have Black people in, but that's how much they liked me. And then there was one show, I can't remember what it was. Um, it wasn't the director, but the owner of the theater company pulled me to the side and she was like, Joseph, I really love you. I love your work, but this show, I really don't have a part for you. But I want you to be part of it in some capacity. Would you be our stage manager? At that time, Kenton, I didn't know nothing about stage managing. I've never done stage managing. I told her, yeah, not knowing what it entitled, but I have a lot of talented people in my family. I did not know until I started doing the acting thing that I have, I think she's a third cousin who is a director, actor, and she's performed on Broadway. And I went to her and I was like, okay, I was offered stage manager. What does a stage manager do? What do you have any advice? And she was like, take a lot of notes. And that's all I needed. And I just built it from there.
Okay.
I remember it wasn't our first rehearsal. It probably was our second week. And when people needed to start being off script, they needed to start learning their lines. And so there was a discussion about that. And I just came out and I was like, this was my notes. And I'm like, you didn't do this. We need to do that. And from that, they was wild and awe about that. And so I started being a stage manager through this company. And from then on, I've been stage managing with other companies. There's been some companies paid more than others. And I will say to this day, most of my theater work is stage managing. I think it is a combination of both me being a Black male, and most of the companies I work for predominantly white, so they don't do a lot of Black shows. And two, their stage managing is in big demand.
Okay. So let's talk about this. So you've done this stage management itself for 14 years
Yes.
or more. And you've actually
I was
stayed.
about to, I was about to say, and probably more.
Okay.
Yeah, on the bio, I said 14, but it might be even more.
Okay. So so let's walk through. You've done Rent, Sageman's Rent, Little Shop of Horrors, which you talked about. Uh,
Now, I stage managed and acted in Rent.
okay. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I played the part of Collins. I don't know if you're familiar with Rent, but I played the part of
I am.
Collins, and I stage managed. The same with Little Shop of Horrors. There was one particular time where I stage managed and played the part of the plant, and
Okay.
that was interesting. And even the tech crew, they used to be amazed because I would be up. I used to call it in the heavens. I would be up in the sound booth giving cues, light and sound cues, and at the same time in this mic singing and speaking the plant part. And the tech crew acted like they've never seen that before.
Okay. That sounds like something interesting to have experienced for real, for real. So now, after all of this that you're doing, all that you've done, the education piece, getting into acting, going to school, taking courses, at Miami Dade College, and for acting courses, and then getting into actually doing stage management. Something else happened, and things began to happen differently began around the beginning of 2020. Let's talk about that and where you are
Okay.
now.
Okay. And this is what I kind of touched on with you before we started today's program when I mentioned to you about I can relate where you're currently and when you shared your story about your brother, I also realized as you were telling the story, I could relate to that process as well.
Okay.
So it really stems a little before 2020, and we're referring to my mom now.
Okay.
So I have to give you a little background story. So my mom has two children. It's me, I'm the oldest, and I have a younger brother of 2 years. And so my brother joined the Air Force and made a career out of it. He was in it. He's still in it to a capacity. I think he's a reserve now, but he did 20 plus years. So we didn't see much of my brother, but I stayed behind. And the fast forward a little bit, I realized something different with my mom's behavior. Um, my auntie, one of my aunties, my mom's youngest sister, she mentioned the fact about how there is a lot of mental illness that runs in our family. I know really on my mom's side. So, as a as a as a son, you don't want to see that. I was in denial for a while, even though the signs, when I look back now, the signs were real clear that there was misalignments. I'm being careful with my word and with how my mom was doing things and her thinking process and everything. But make a long story short, I couldn't deny it any further. So I had to decide, had to come up with ways on how I was going to address this or have her address it because she obviously was in denial of it as well. So I got involved with her primary health care provider, and I was telling her some of the things mom was doing, but I don't know how to get her to see a psychiatrist because I know she is not going to see a psychiatrist. So I'm so grateful for that primary doctor at that time because she basically lied to my mom and it was like, okay, you need to go see the psychiatrist before I could refill any more of your meds. And I did not like that psychiatrist, but he did diagnose her as psychotic. She didn't like him either. And it wasn't so much about him, but it was his office.
Okay.
Any and everybody was coming in and out that office. And it was like, oh, okay, I don't know if I want put my mom in this.
Right.
And second of all, we was in the waiting room for over 2 hours
Wow.
with an appointment. So I definitely didn't like that part.
I'm sure.
But so fast forwarding, my mom had what they call it. She had a situation where I had to Baker act her. And we find out she was diagnosed with two diagnoses. She had a dual diagnosis, dementia and paranoia.
Wow.
So in addition to the dementia part, she always thought people was trying to kill her or do harm to her and me. So I took upon myself to be her caregiver. My brother, I could not. I tried to convince him to come and visit quite a little more frequently because again, we have not seen, at that time, we have not seen my brother for 20 years.
Wow.
He came down once when our father passed.
Okay.
But other than that, my brother didn't come. He didn't visit. He called mom every day, but other than calling mom, he didn't send birthday cards, Christmas cards, gifts, Mother's Day, nothing. I guess he figured the calling every day was sufficient enough. So, and her siblings, even though that auntie suggested that there might be a mental disorder involved, when I was able to confirm that was the case, I got little to no support from her family. Mind you, all her siblings live in Miami, within the vicinity of where we was residing.
Wow.
But I couldn't get nobody. I had to beg them because I'm still working full time, still trying to do the theater thing on the side. So I had to kind of beg them to at least call, because just to make sure she was home, was staying home. Because by this time, I might have, if I got 3-4 hours of sleep a night, that was a great night. Because many times mom would get up at 12, 1, 2, 4 in the morning, constantly in and out the house, screaming at invisible people that she thought was threatening. So that was my life with her for 4 or 5 years. So fast and forward, answering your question. So she eventually made her transition. In 2020, August 30th, she made her wait, I need to back up a little bit. Before she made her transition, to answer your question, how I get into how inspirational moments with Joseph Malone plays a part. When mom stopped eating and refusing to take her meds, her body, she physically started deteriorating, lost a lot of weight, was having issues walking. And mind you, 2020, we still talking about deep into the pandemic. We still talking about quarantine. At this time, they saying 65 plus don't need to be out the house.
Right.
I tell people to this day, I think COVID sped up the process, which led to my mom's deterioration and which led to her transition.
Okay.
Because even prior to the quarantine, I could get my mom at the house. My mom was my biggest fan, so she would come to see my shows. I used to also do concerts around Christmas, and the Messiah. I used to sing with the KRL. My mom would come there, and it was remarkable how when I could get her to come out the house, she would transform to almost completely her old self, her
Right.
usual self. I think even though she liked to stay at home, I believe the house was kind of a trigger for her. Because
Okay.
once she come back home, she'd start having those episodes. I also find out they called her what they call a sundowner,
Okay.
which means as the sun comes down, and it used to sound weird and funny to me until you literally could see around 5 o'clock, the behavior starts. It starts with the casual conversations. 6 o'clock, then the conversations get a little more agitated. 7, 8 o'clock, she gets kind of violent. Never violent with me, thank God, but with the people that's not there. Very violent. Nighttime, oh, day and night, total different mama.
Wow.
Yeah. So when she refused to start taking her meds, she stopped taking the food, again with the COVID, they didn't even want to bring people in the hospitals unless it was what they deemed an emergency. I actually had my mom go see her primary doctor when she started having issues walking on her own. Mind you, before this, Kenton, my mom was cooking on her own. She was paying her own bills. The only thing she stopped doing for years was driving. So for the last 5, 6 years of her life, I was taking her grocery shopping. I was taking her to all her appointments. I became really involved into her medical, anything.
Okay.
Doctors, everybody knew me. I went to all her appointments. So by this time, I had FMLA for her, the care for my mom. For those who don't know what FMLA is, it's short for Family Medical Leave Act. And you can have a FMLA claim set up for either your serious health condition, cancer, asthma, anything or for the care of your family member. So I had opened one for the care of my mom so I could take her to her doctor's appointments. And whenever she had flare-ups, meaning she's had her episodes, I would take time off to be there with her. I noticed my presence helped sometimes a lot with her situation too. So took her to see her primary doctor because she stopped eating. The doctor did talk her into eating at that time. I brought her home and my mom passed out before we could go I could bring her to her bedroom. So I had to call 911. The ambulance came. They said her pressure had dropped. Now, after that, I was hoping they would take her to the hospital. They helped me bring her to the bed, and they left.
Wow.
A week or two later, after all of that, so she went back to not eating or taking her meds. She eventually got to a point where she became non-responsible. I had to back up some more. So when my mom stopped eating, she stopped taking her meds. That's when I really started feeling the pressure. That's when I felt, okay, this is becoming a little too much.
Okay.
I don't know if I could do this anymore. And I said it was like an inner voice, but anybody who really has a relationship with inner voice, higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, sometimes it's not a voice. A lot of times it's an urging.
Okay.
And I got an urge to get into meditation. Now, I told you about stage managing. I never did this. A lot of never did this. I never done meditation before. Don't know what meditation was at that point. At that point, to me, meditation would just become quiet. Wow. That's all I knew what meditation was. So I started schooling myself, going surfing the net and looking up actual scripts, meditation scripts. And one day, May 1st, 2020, to be exact, I went on Facebook and did my first live guided meditation.
Okay.
Not thinking that I was going to have a multitude of people on live with me.
Okay.
Again, this is during COVID. People are dying. People literally had the fear of God in them in 2020.
Right.
We did not know little about COVID. I had a huge following at that time. So I was doing the live meditations. It started on my Facebook.
Okay.
So now I can fast forward to Mama making her transition. So at this point, it's like, okay, I did the meditations to get me through this mom situation, to keep me grounded, to keep me centered. Mom is gone. What do I do with this? And I actually went on live and I explained that. Not the day that mom passed, because I went on live the day mom passed. I cried and everything, and then shook that off and went right into a meditation. And I had a lot of people, because before I went live, I did a post saying, Mom died.
Okay.
And I had swarms of people coming. But the following week, I think it was the following week or a couple of days after, I'm like, my mom passed. I did this because of mom. What do I do with this? And people was like, Joseph, we've been touched by this. We need this. The meditations are helping us keep it going. So 4 years later, I still do it, but now it has evolved where it's not just Facebook, but I have my own YouTube channel, which I do strictly the guided meditations. I have Instagram, where I do now every morning, Monday through Fridays at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I go on my IG and YouTube simultaneously live and do guided meditations.
Wow. Wow. Man, you have been busy. I often say to people that I believe we are all spiritual beings having a human experience. And you are definitely having a human experience, experiencing so many different things, the highs, the lows. Um, Yet you still have this smile on your face and your energy is positive and everything like that. Talk to somebody tonight about how you do that. Someone out there that is going through what you may have gone through, experience things that you've experienced. How do you get? Tell us about this getting centered, being able to go through it, have these experiences, still keep a smile on your face, still work a job, still do inspirational moments with Joseph Long. Talk to us about that, man. Give somebody some encouragement.
I had to make the decision a while ago. Do I want to live or do I want to die? And I'm really talking to my other caregivers as well. I'm glad I have a lot of nurse friends that constantly told me, Joseph, you as a caregiver, you need to consistently be mindful of your own self-care. With my mom, with mental health, with dementia, it will bring you there. So I know what depression is like. I know that dark place, get into that dark place. But back to the Wiz, I think I always had this within me to be a fighter or prove to everybody that I'm going to get through this. So, my advice to everyone is, first of all, as I tell people on my platform, people like to bash being selfish. Selfish is not a bad word. Selfish is self-care, self-first. You cannot help anybody else. You can't love anybody else before you give your self-care and you love self first. One thing I had to learn with mom, I had to make sure I stay right in order to make sure I help her be right. So I had to do whatever I can. This with the smiling and everything do. I've learned to take practices daily, rather it's just taking a moment to breathe, moments to work on me and love me and have time to relax and recharge, because I also know what it's like to constantly be on the go. Your body will make you stop. Your
Okay.
body will literally shut down. So I don't allow myself to get to that point.
Okay.
So I also would tell people we are already equipped with everything we need. You are worthy. You are created from love, and you are love. So whatever situation you may be going through right now is temporary. You are stronger. You are more lovely, more powerful, more peaceful than what you think you are. I tell my people all the time, the person you see in the mirror is not all. You are so much more than that. What you see in the mirror is just a fraction of who and what you really are.
Wow.
And that's why I go into meditation. One of my followers, a Jewish lady, I didn't know she viewed my meditations. She told me, and I had to think about it. She said, "Your meditations kept you alive." And when I thought about it, I'm like, she's absolutely correct. So if I didn't have anybody following me live, I would still go on live and do my meditations because it keeps me alive.
Wow.
It keeps me grounded. It keeps me centered. Meditation helps me tap into that inner higher power within me.
Wow. Joseph Long, host of Inspirational Moments, man. This has been awesome on this evening. I want to really say thank you for agreeing and accepting my invitation to come on and be our special guest. Before we leave here, let people know how they can get in touch with you, how they can reach you, how they can watch your inspirational moments. Give them any information you want to give them, right now. Go for it.
Okay, I appreciate that. I really appreciate it. And I can't express enough how I appreciate you coming forth to me. Now I didn't ask you this, and we probably running out of time to go here, but we could talk offline about it. But I'm gonna say this because I want you to come back to me with the answer. But I've been curious why you reached out to me to do this. But I'm highly grateful. But to answer your question, you can find me on YouTube, Inspirational Moments with Joe. I believe it's 5789. But you could do a search of Inspirational Moments with Joseph Long, and I will come up. I'm the only Inspirational Moments with Joseph Long. You can find me on IG at the sign at Slim Brother 73. That's SLIMBROTHA 73. The same on TikTok. Now we didn't talk about TikTok, but TikTok is a whole different kind of content.
Okay.
On my TikTok, I do little known Black history facts, and it is my largest platform. I would have never thought it would have grown so big. On TikTok, I started off doing videos of me doing musical solos, and people didn't want to hear that. It took I think 3 years ago in February, I just started doing little known Black history facts for the month of February. And it took a couple of white brothers to tell me, don't stop it. Just don't, for February, Black History Month, keep it going. I had another white brother give me the suggestion of calling the segment, Did You Know That? So almost 4 years ago, later, I'm still doing little known Black history facts. I have 11.1 followers on TikTok. So I'm trying to see how to go about to get monetization on that. But you can find me on TikTok if that is your kind of thing, if that's your niche, if you into history, because it's purely Black history. I have some haters that come on and they try to tell me about this person, that person, and I'm like, I'm not hearing it. I'm just giving you facts. You use what you want to do with the facts. But you can find me on TikTok, same name as my IG, at Slim Brother 73. Facebook, I have a little everything. You'll find anything. Now, if you want to really know about Joseph Long, you could go, you find that out on Facebook. And I'm not going to even dab on all of that. But on my Facebook, I post a lot of my theater work as well.
Okay.
And on Facebook, you can find me with my name, Joseph Long.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome, man. And when we get off the air, hang around. I will tell you and talk to you and answer your question. Only reason why I'm not answering on here is because you're in the spotlight, not me. You know.
Okay.
But I will tell you when we get offline. Let me do this real quick. Stay with me real quick.
Hello, this is Pat from the DMV, and I support In the Spotlight with Kenton Rogers.
Hi, I am Emmanuel Du, a gospel recording artist from Nigeria, and I support Kenton Rogers in the spotlight. Oh.
All right. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Emmanuel Du. Thank everyone who tuned in on this evening. Special thanks to our special guest, Joseph Long, of Inspirational Moments with Joseph Long. We have had a great time tonight, and hopefully I will be able to get him back on here at another time, and actually do some meditation, guided meditation as well. I will look forward to that if you will. And I'm going to be starting a segment called Where Caregivers Meet. Where Caregivers Meet as well. And so we're going to be doing some other things and other segments as well. But I thank you. And I'm going to end the show at this time to everyone. Thank you all for supporting. Please like, share, and share with your friends and your family, and keep coming back when we prepare new content for you and everything like that. So y'all know I am grateful to God to just be alive and in the land of the living, and have had this opportunity to have Mr. Joseph Long here in the spotlight. You all have a great evening. I'm going to end the show. Me and him are going to talk in the green room once I end the show. God bless you all.